Since their founding, the American colonies considered themselves British subjects. The magazines, newspapers, and novels consumed by the people there kept the colonies up to date on the happenings in the mother country. All articles, which would soon carry a stamp of duty of 3 pence under the Stamp Act, sometimes more. The Stamp Act began as a relatively dull piece of legislation at its passage. It was an extremely obscure act of Parliament in London that was buried at the bottom of many other articles of administrative policies governing the British Empire. However, by the time the act got to the colonies, it was far more than an obscure or irrelevant fact to daily life there. All over the streets, mobs of angry colonists made their voices heard in all manner of ways. A member of the underground patriot movement was Samuel Adams, known to associate with the Loyal Nine and the Sons of Liberty. He played a key role in the crisis, recruiting members to the patriot cause. The poor but politically active in Boston were divided into gangs and had trouble cooperating. Samuel Adams, at one point, had to swear out a warrant for the arrest of one of the gang leaders to work with the Loyal Nine. Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty, as well as the Loyal Nine, eventually merged and held many meetings. The meetings were held in secret, designed, generally, to resist the new taxes coming from Parliament. The Sons of Liberty had fomented a popular revolt in the colonies. The popular revolt that led to this crisis is what made the Stamp Act unenforceable. The East India Company had tried unsuccessfully to create a tea monopoly. It hoped to achieve this monopoly by undercutting local colonial tea distributors through the passage of laws repressing Boston tea businesses. These cheap, foreign tea brokers were chased away, and the Sons threatened with tar and feathers anyone that shipped or sold such a tea. In 1765, during the Stamp Act crisis, the Sons of Liberty paid a visit to the Royal Lieutenant Governor Thomas Hutchinson and burned his home to the ground. March 5th, 1770, the famous incident on King Street, or as it's known in the colonies, the Boston Massacre, occurs. It is an incident in which British Army soldiers killed 5 male civilians and injured 6 others. April 1770 saw the partial repeal of the townshend duties in the wake of the famous incident on King Street. The repeal of the townshend duties was mostly due to the pressure on British firms from the ensuing colonial boycott of British goods, a repeat of the Stamp Act crisis. After repeal, one law of the townshend duties that remained in place was a tax on tea. The East India Company had tried unsuccessfully to create a tea monopoly. The climax occurred when the Royal Lieutenant Governor Thomas Hutchinson ordered the ships to unload their cargo of tea, despite the protests of the colonists. In December 16, 1773, when the Sons of Liberty, and perhaps their most famous moment, dumped an estimated 342 chests of tea into the Boston harbor, weighing approximately 400 pounds each, resulting in a total of about $4 million in damage in today's currency. This puts the total tea dumped that evening at around 136,800 pounds, which amounts to the dumping of 68 tons of tea into the Boston harbor. Each chest had to be hauled out of the hold by block and tackle, busted open, and shoveled over the side of the ship. This famous act of defiance became known as the Boston Tea Party, an event which grew into a quiet mob dumping tea. Enforcing the Tea Act and Hutchinson's orders were virtually impossible for the royal government due to this popular resistance, stirred up, in part, by the Sons of Liberty and their contribution to the American Revolution.